Hello.
Where'd he go?
There you are.
I knew I was here somewhere.
I wasn't so sure. Here comes Art. Art
I
got
do have an article in my folder, Art. You know, the folder thing. I don't have my doorbell set up.
Can Art hear us?
I can hear you.
Mailbox.
You hear me?
So, you were being
Can you hear
awfully
me?
quiet. You were being
Can you
awful
hear me?
quiet. Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear
I
me?
gotta adjust my volume again.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I was saying my mailbox alarm, I've got an article in my folder. If you go to the announcement page and go to Jim's folder, you'll see there's a mailbox alarm there. And I've
Okay.
got people coming by and getting in my mailbox multiple times.
Really?
Yeah. Shocking.
It's interesting. It's a federal offense, you realize.
Oh yeah, they didn't care.
Well,
Yeah, I had videos, sent the videos up to the cops. Yeah. You know, I am.
interesting. Yeah, well, I bought one. And then I discovered that it is only local. It has an annunciator you put in the house, you plug in, and it's got a little thing. It's around here someplace. It's got a little thing that you put on the door of the mailbox, and when the mailbox flips open, I don't know if they have a mercury switch or a little BB in there or whatever, it sends a message, a 433 megahertz message to, yeah, it's not that one, but it's run similar to that.
Put
So-
this in front of one of your cameras, and when it comes on, when the light comes, this one has a light. When the light comes on, it triggers your camera. There you go.
Well, here's the problem.
Yeah.
That would all work because it's got both a sound annunciator and an LED that blinks after it's. The problem is this. The first time you receive mail, that works just fine. But in order to reset it, you have to push a reset button. That's difficult to do from 2,500 miles away. So I suppose I could rig up something that I bypass that push button and trigger it remotely. But you know, that becomes a major project for something that cost me $60 to start with.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm not too excited about that. But I figured what I'd do is just ignore the annunciator and use my handy dandy RTL_433 receiver with my SDR radio. And that way I can pick up, you know, everything. Well, only one problem. Of 183 different devices that people have written the code for.
Oh,
That's not one of them.
not that device. Okay.
That's not one of them. Okay. So what that means is that in order to get that to work, I've got to capture the pulse stream, write my own driver, and everything will work fine. Well, that's a lot of work. So
how far away is your mailbox? I mean, can you get a Wi-Fi signal down to it?
Oh yeah, no problem.
Well,
Certainly from the, I've got an access point, ubiquity access point in my garage. And I would guess that the line of sight distance between that and my mailbox would be 30, 35 feet, something like that. So no
use
problem.
use a some sort of sensor, micro switch or something to tell when the door's open, and ESP32.
I could do that. I
And then
was
you could
hoping to
even
do something before I get on the plane next week, and I don't have time to engineer the project, given we're
getting ready
up
to
to our
leave.
elbows and getting ready for, you know, it's one thing to go on a trip where you're leaving for a week. When you go on a trip and leave your house for 7.5 months, it takes a little more prep. Okay, either that or some really friendly neighbors. So we're now preparing to decamp and head for California. So time is kind of at a premium at this point. But you're right, that's a good idea. The other problem with Wi-Fi is, though, it's power hungry.
It it is, but you know the new ESP32 devices, the C,
Yeah,
whatever it is, and the there's another new one, an S, I think it's an S3. Um, they are very much not power hungry. They are very happy working on very low voltage,
so what do? They go into a sleep mode when they're
like
not
a
active?
very deep sleep mode, and you can set it up so that one of the pins triggers them to come active for 10-15 seconds,
Yeah.
long enough to connect, send a message, and shut itself back off.
Huh.
So
Oh, this is the 32.
yeah, the new ones, the ones without Bluetooth and without all the some of the fancier bells and whistles.
And how's
That
that done? Like ESP32 S or what?
I think it's an S3 that they've just come out with, and there's a C something, and the C's are small. Let me see if I can find them.
So this is they get rid of a bunch of the bells and whistles and lower the power requirement then.
And they don't have LEDs on them and all the other happy stuff that you don't need to deal with because you don't care if there's an LED flashing in your mailbox.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they've
might freak out my mail carrier, but other than that, wouldn't have a useful purpose.
They've really started to pare some of these things way back, and I think they're doing it because people want to do low power stuff.
Yeah, generally speaking, the advantage of the 433 megahertz pulse is that they use very little power. They're only on intermittently, and in most cases the battery will last kind of the shelf life of the battery. So it really is
and they're cheap. You can get 433 megahertz transmitter and a receiver pair for 99 cents.
I was going to say, I bought a couple of years ago, I bought a bag with, I think, 6 receivers and 6 transmitters, and I think it cost me 10 or 11 bucks, something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
I was amazed they could, you know, they could produce them for that, but
Yeah, I think it might be the S3. It's a brand new one that they were specifically targeting the IoT department, the low power IoT departments. But like you said, you won't have time to develop it because you'd have to order one and wait a week for it to get here. So
yeah, at this point, I'm definitely out of time.
Yeah. They're I don't know. I don't know what you could do quickly.
Well, at this point, I've decided to take this one that I bought for hair, take it back to California with me, where I have some time to work on it, and see if I can figure out how to decode the pulse modulation for this thing. And I also have access to scopes and so forth there. One of the advantages of teaching in a community college is I have lab space there, which I use for classroom, but basically I have lab space there. And we have a large tool room where we have scopes and meters and all kinds of stuff. So I can easily sneak on campus. I'm not officially allowed on campus right now, but I think at the end of the semester we'll be allowed back on campus.
Leroy can lend you some of the sacks that he had for me. Yeah.
Say again?
Leroy could lend you some of the sacks he had for me. You could put some eye holes in them.
Okay.
What's going on, Vicente?
A lot of stuff working in the house. My wife has a list. You like you want a list? I
That's
can make it for you.
No, thanks. I've got my own wife. All right.
I don't need a list, thank you.
No, you know what? I was playing with the microcontroller to generate the video signals to simulate an Apple One, and I already have the memory made in the TV. So check the first thing that was the most difficult is done. I have the microcontroller is producing the image of in the TV without using CPU, no interrupts, nothing. Just you can do anything you want, and the image is in the screen all the time. It looks nice.
So it's a single microcontroller?
Yeah, but I am using the 2 DMA channels to move all the data without intervention of the CPU. So I only need to draw in a memory area, and automatically appears in the TV.
Cool.
I have I made a square in the border of the RAM, and you can see how is the square in the TV.
Oh.
You see?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the microcontroller can be stopped without interrupts, and the image is still in the screen all the time. Maybe to shine. You see a square?
Yeah.
I saw a
rectangle,
shaky
yeah.
square.
A rectangle, yes, a rectangle. Okay, you can put whatever inside this area in the memory, and it appears in the screen. You know.
Huh.
Now I only need to adapt some graphic libraries, and that's it. it will be working as a standard display.
Oh, very good.
And which microcontroller is that?
STM 32 F407.
Okay.
This board cost like $7-8. It's cheaper than the microcontroller it has. I don't know why.
What kind of a frame rate can you get?
Well, the microcontroller runs at 168 megahertz. I only need 5 megahertz for the screen, so
Oh, okay.
I can go up in the resolution whatever I want. I need memory just to present the memory increase exponentially when you increase the resolution. Now I am using like 11K of memory for all the area of the screen, and the resolution is like 240 for 192. That is the April 1 resolution, because I am planning to emulate the Apple One. So I adapt all the timing to have 240 pixels horizontally by 192 pixels vertically. So I have the exact screen of the Apple One. That's it. It's working steady.
Great.
It was working for the last three days. It's perfect. The next thing to do is to translate a graphic library and see circles and tests and stuff. Leroy has some experience about that.
Yes.
So, what really do you need to do is to find out how the draw pixel works, because the rest of the functions just call draw pixel.
Uh-huh.
So I only need to solve the function that draw pixels,
Right.
whatever I want in the X,
Right.
Y coordinates, and that's it.
That's exactly how that draw circle function worked. It did some math, and then it did, basically it was doing math for the arc. It drawing the straight lines were simple, but it did some math for the arc, but it was always calling the draw pixel function and just plotting pixels out all the way around. And the one that I thought was going to be complicated, the draw triangle one, actually turned out to be the simplest one. When
draw 3 lines, right?
Because you're just drawing 3 lines. You're just going from one spot to another to another.
Well, that's what's going on here.
But I looked how, I took that code out of the Adafruit GFX library and saw how they were doing it and just adapted it for.
It's a good explanation in their website how to do a generic library.
Yeah, their GFX library is really good. Yeah.
Okay, that's my next
problem. But as soon as you realize that all it's doing is doing a little math and plotting a dot, you're going, oh, you can make it do anything.
The emulator of the Apple is very simple, because I will be using the real microcontroller, the 6502. It will be running 1 megahertz, and I will be checking the buses and the data at 168 megahertz. I'm putting the data he requests, because I am very fast to emulate whatever is around the microcontroller. So it's like a holodeck for the microcontroller. Now the microcontroller will will believe that he is in a motherboard of the Apple one, because I will emulate all the
All the peripherals.
peripherals. Yeah.
Yep.
6502, boy, that's an ancient.
Yeah. There is a new version. There is a new chip that costs $1 and runs on 3.3 volts and is full static. It has all the functionality, but none of the problems of the original one, and it's very cheap. I don't know why they are manufacturing, but you can find it. It's W65C02, and you have the manuals and everything in the web, and it's cheap. So
The 6502 was actually an emulation, same architecture as a PDP 8, I believe, back in the 70s. And they picked up that architecture and put it into originally, I guess, a single chip. And then, the rest is history. It became the brains of the Apple.
because it was the cheapest microcontroller by the time, right?
It was
Tom-
expensive compared to today, but it was cheap
Yeah, it was
compared to
cheap.
that.
Commodore 64, the Nintendo NES. There were dozens of computers that used the 6502.
Yeah.
Dozens of them.
I don't like it, but it's okay.
Well, it's relatively simple to program.
Yeah.
Mauser has one of those new ones, the 65C02, for $7.
No, but you can buy where
Well,
Mauser.
it won't let me click on it.
look in Amazon, W65C02.
In Amazon?
Yeah,
Okay.
two for $10, I think. But you can buy
Hey,
it from
Mike, how
China.
you doing?
Good.
W65C02.
I hear you this week.
Mike,
Hi, Vincente.
how are you?
Hi, Jim.
Talking about ancient microcontrollers. W65C.
Are you
No.
sharing it, Vicente?
Excuse me?
Are you sharing it?
No, I am looking for it, but
The only
first,
one I see is $10 and some change.
for two. Let
No,
me
it's
check
for
my
one.
order history.
There's another one for 18. I'm getting all kinds of stuff though.
Oh, now the price is 10 for one.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
one I
it
saw. was
changed.
10 for one. It
Look in AliExpress.
it's probably because we're in a chip shortage right now.
I don't know. W65C.
All these chips are going up. Everything is going up.
$1, 11 cents in AliExpress. Let me share.
Sure.
Share screen.
Yeah, you can get them cheap from China. Oh,
See.
that is not what you wanted to share, Vicente.
No. This is Netflix. There. Okay, this one.
Here we go.
Look. The shipping is $179,
Yeah,
and each one is $111. You see?
So you want to buy a bunch of them and amortize that shipping cost.
Yeah, exactly. No, but usually they change the shipping when you increase. Look, you increase two, and the shipping go double.
Oh,
I don't know why. It's very weird. But here is a bunch of them. A lot of 5, 4, 6, 11. The same company, the same thing.
Well, here
Go
you
back
go,
to-
Vicente. Here, I'll put a link.
Take the screen.
I'll put a link in the chat.
Okay.
There's $1.03, and if I put 6 in the thing, and the shipping only went up to $2.80.
Okay. So I think it's cheap. If you want to use it.
That's
right?
cheap. That's cheap enough.
Yeah, the socket for that's going to cost almost as much as the chip.
Probably
Yeah.
cost more than the chip.
You could always do the dead bug thing and then wire wrap it.
Okay, let's see. 103.
Yeah, 103, and then if I put
Dang.
quantity of 6 in there, and it went up to $2.86.
Okay.
That's cheap enough.
Mhm.
Cool.
So that's it.
So what's delivery on something like that from AliExpress these days?
3, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks?
It depends on your shipper too, or the seller, because some of them will ship a little faster. They'll drop it into a different bin and it gets here a little faster, but it's 3 or 4 weeks.
So
That's
they
a-
aren't being shipped from the US, they're being shipped from China.
China.
No, I think it's from China.
Yeah. This one doesn't even give an option for US. Some of them will have a little button on there that says, where do you want it shipped from? And usually it's more expensive to have them shipped from the States.
From Russia used to be cheaper. I don't know why.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ray.
Ray. Sorry.
Ray's driving
Sorry.
around.
I'm sorry. I absolutely forgot about the meeting. I've been paying attention to my driving.
Shame on you.
Ray's driving around in his delivery truck
Van.
van.
Doing service up in Columbus. Interesting enough, I am back in Monroe. I'll be home in a few minutes. But I just about feel guilty. It's like I missed my meeting. Missed my meeting.
Well,
But how are you guys doing?
Good.
we're talking about ancient computers, the 6502s.
Yeah.
Ray's probably not old enough to remember the 6502.
I'm trying to,
Turn right on Yankee Road. I think you're right. I don't know what you're talking about, 6502. I think the oldest thing that you know of as being actually a computer is the Buffalo 68HC11 computer chip that I had to add memory to it. I had to add a little bitty display to it. It had its own little bootloader sequence, all kinds of stuff. That's long ago for me.
6502 was a hot item in the late 70s.
On the right.
Early 80s.
Yes, I was but a child.
Hey, you had Apple IIs, you had Commodore 64s, you had a bunch of computers based on.
The TRS-80. That was mine.
Yeah, the Trash 80. I don't remember if they used a 6502 or not.
I didn't think the Trash 80s used. Maybe
And
the,
there was a TRS 100, a Model 100.
maybe
That was the
Model
LCD
100.
screen. That had an LCD screen, a liquid character display, not a liquid crystal display, which is interesting. I remember doing packet radio on that down in North Carolina. I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old, something like that. But you guys get to see me turning my.
Would you believe I've got a Model 102 sitting behind me, behind my green screen? You just
Really?
can't see it. Yeah.
I believe it.
Here.
Wow.
Switch over. All right, let's see that there. Come on, Leroy. Show me your goodies.
And as you said, Ray, packet radio.
Yeah. That's what we used it for. Yeah.
Yeah. Ow. I can't hold on to everything. These things were awesome back in the day.
I have the 100, the model 100.
The Model 100. I've got a 100 and I've got an NEC, whatever that was, in storage somewhere, which is basically the same thing. The keys are set up a little bit different.
Right. How much time we got left?
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Okay. Update on my laser machine project, my big laser. It is, the two of them that I purchased are done with manufacturing and are getting quality control approvals. Then they will be disassembled, put into a shipping container, and shipped to me. So they're working on it.
Cool.
So where are they shipping from?
Jinan, China. Jinan, which is in the province or like a state of Shandong and People's Republic, China. It's far away, other side of the planet. But I heard news today that the tariffs aren't going away anytime soon. So I'm very disappointed, upset. But it's kind of like you're on the highway and you see a toll booth.
Yep.
When do you think the government is going to say, we've collected enough of your money?
Never.
That is funny. Yeah, he's funny today, Ray. Yeah.
I just don't see it being like ever that they're going to
Ever?
stop collecting tariffs.
And they're going to stop lying to us continuously. I don't know. Could be any day.
Are you lying to me?
Going back in history here, the Boxer Rebellion was because the European countries were selling opium to the Chinese, and the Chinese said, don't do that to our people anymore. But 20% of Great Britain's income was from opium sales. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
Drug,
They said, no.
drug lords.
You can't. I'm just trying to imagine Colombia invading the United States because we have restrictions on cocaine sales.
Yep. So they were growing opium in England and shipping it to China?
No, they were growing opium in Afghanistan and India.
They had the business.
Yeah, they were drug dealers.
So they weren't producers, they were just dealers.
They were dealers.
Okay. I was going to say, I can't imagine opium growing all over northern England somehow or another.
So in the United States, we have the government, which contracts certain companies to build and maintain roads. And so during that contract, they have the right to put tolls on people's vehicles to pass. And they've been given the right to collect your license plate, look up your information, who you are on that license plate, and give you a fee by mail. And because they're doing it by mail, which causes more paperwork and tracking and such, they're allowed to charge you 3 times as much. It's crazy what the toll booth fees are. So when you compare the toll booths to a method of collecting money by the government, they're going to be doing the same thing on tariffs for a really long time. I just see that happening, and I'm really disappointed.
So do you still have toll booths out here?
Oh yes.
In
They actually
Every
have
state
people in
I've
them?
been to.
They have people?
Some of them do.
I would say at least a third of them have people in them.
Because the tolls we've got in Northern California, they've eliminated all the toll takers, and we have these little radio transponders that we stick to our windshield. Generally,
Yeah, it's like Easy Pass, Day Pass, stuff like that.
The fast
Yeah,
pass.
those are for people that live there. But what if you're like me? You live in Ohio, and I travel everywhere, and I can't have a little transponder for Florida, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Indiana, and not to mention the ones that are in Ohio. But it's crazy. And then I would have to have, if I had a universal transponder that would work with any of those companies, I would still have to have 3 or 4 transponders, for truck, van, and whatever other vehicle.
I use my license plate to cross the Golden Gate. You use an app in the web, and you put your plate and your pay on your app, and then you go through. Maybe they have cameras with character recognition, and that's
it. That's the way it's set up in Northern California. We have 3 cars in Northern California. We only have a transponder on one, and the other license plates are registered to that same account. And so when my wife or my second car goes across any of the bridges that are toll, it automatically dings my account.
It reads your license plate and debits your account for
Correct.
that. Right.
And also the limited access lanes. We have these limited access lanes that are either for multiple people, or you can do them charge per mile kind of a thing. And those also work off the same account.
Yeah. So it's an HOV, high occupancy vehicle lanes.
Yeah, HOV lanes, right.
Yep.
Now in Pittsburgh, they do a similar thing where it's zone parking. So you get the Park PGH, Park in Pittsburgh app for your phone. You put in your name, you register your vehicle, and you pick what zone you want to park in. So according to the zone says how much you have to pay. So then when the police officer's vehicle drives around, and he's got what's called an LPR, a license plate reader, and they actually read your license plate while he's driving. So the police officer's not really even paying attention, but he knows that he's in a zone where these cars are supposed to be paying for parking. and the vehicle that he's driving has all these cameras and stuff, reading all the license plates. And if it reads one that is not paying electronically, he'll give it a ticket. You know, the car automatically says this license plate's been identified. You know, stop to give a ticket.